Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 5 of the Robot Wizard podcast. My name is Brink, and I've got Myth on the line. Say hello.
Hello.
And we've got some big topics to talk about today. We wanted to talk about do a little state of the game chat because there's been a lot going on, and Myth and I are noticing a lot of community emotion going on just inside of our own guild and in our arena shard. And if you can bear with us through that discussion, we've got some cool info on a very good counter that has come out of the Robot Wizard this week to handle a fast Darth Revan and Malak team.
So I'm a guild leader. I'm actually, our guild leader. And it's this week has been very unique in that it's I've never seen so many people look like just sort of beaten and frustrated on the point of quitting as I found this week. A lot of people out of nowhere, people saying they don't know if they could take this anymore. As this kind of saga of this month and Darth Revan and Malak has unfolded, I've noticed at specific points that people were very happy with Revan and even the Malak releases, but every time the developers came back out and said, we're going to fix this or tighten this up, they've sort of taken the air of the community, making it feel like more of a scripted drama than a game that we enjoy playing. And I don't think any of us are under the delusion that this isn't scripted in some way. We realize that they have specific goals, and those goals, lead to money.
Yeah, so we had the Darth Revan event, and there was that. There were some tweets and maybe some forum posts. I can't remember which media source was the source of these particular chats, but the development team had it seemed like they needed to do something about how many people were able to unlock Darth Revan. Like, more people got the character than they anticipated or that they had planned on.
And they were honest, and I guess we always want them to be honest, but it's their level of honesty. First of all, Carrie was complaining about having to serve two masters, which is a free to play in the Wells, and I understand that all these things are true, but it's the visual of it. When you're directing something that we're all participating in, isn't really the best. And then you're kind of giving us this behind the scenes look of why you're doing what you're doing. But it's almost like if you were a wrestler and then you were going to the scripting people and they were giving you the behind the scenes look of why they're doing it, and you're taking away the feeling that this is a competition, because you realize this strong hand is just trying to say, you belong in this position, you're free to play, you should only be able to do this. And so they took the air out of the people who spent months trying to get Darth Revan, using their resources and saying, you're not supposed to have him. You're not good enough. We're not doing this for you. And
Yeah.
so that feeling of excitement was taken away for using the character and exploring it for a lot of people who didn't get a chance to.
Yeah, there was that comment about the nested egg doll thing where they said, okay, we understand, like, you guys caught on to it, and it was very obvious. Like, a lot of, tons of people did not get Jedi Revan the first time around, and that was a big money pull for CG and EA. And everybody was sort of dialed in, like, we're not going to miss this again. Next time they make characters farmable, everybody go nuts on them. And of course, it was more Old Republic characters that became farmable. And go figure, Darth Revan, like, everybody predicted it. And then beyond that, you and I both farmed free to play, and I was at 7 stars at least 3 weeks early, right?
I was too.
Yeah, I think, and a lot of people that I've chatted with on Discord have similar experiences where they rank high in arena and they get a steady income of crystals just from playing the game, and they were able to use those on hard node refreshes, and they were able to farm on time. And based on the timeline from the Jedi Revan event, we were sort of expecting the same cadence for Darth Revan, and I feel like Darth Revan was just flat out late.
It seems like that's what happened, and that screwed up their plans because 3 weeks earlier, and I'm not sure we're in the same position here. But my problem and what I worry about a lot is it seems like whoever's making these decisions don't have a feeling for how to take something kind of that they consider negative and turn it into a positive. So instead of saying, all right, we have all these people and they're jazzed about Darth Revan, let's give them a month. Let's give them 6 weeks and build on that and build on the community's enthusiasm. They're like, oh, this is a problem. We didn't make enough money between X weeks and Y weeks, and let's just smack them all down. And let's do it in a way that's even harder than it was for Jedi Knight Revan. So we're in a position now where there's less counters than there were before. The people who spent months trying to get something still can't climb to the top of the arena. And I feel like at least the people with Darth Revan should have a better fighting shot for it. So they kind of hit people on both sides. And again, I'm going to say this term, which is, and I felt it in our guild, from people who are generally very enthusiastic and love this game, they have had the air taken out of them. And to enjoy a long-term game like this, you have to be enthusiastic and excited for it. And that's the thing I think they're missing is you have to be careful, not just about how much money you can extract from people, but at what cost. And right now, the cost is I can guarantee they're losing a lot of subscriptions, a lot of people who are playing, because I've seen it just in our guild, a few, 3, 4 people. We're one guild out of thousands, and they have to have lost a significant subscriber base based on this adventure that they've created.
Yeah,
and I'm worried about the state of the game going forward.
Yeah, and if you're talking about you lose a player here and there, like maybe that's no big deal. But even if you lose a mostly free to play player, like if say I'm somebody who's in this field, like I was able to unlock Darth Revan, but then I'm playing free to play and I can't use him right away because I'm not paying for crystals to gear him up, but I'm certainly enticed by it. And I think a lot of people in my position are as well. And, that's really where they can get me to bite and like, okay, I'll spend $20 and buy some gear here. And so that I can use them because I got the cool character and I don't want 2 months to go by before I can actually use it in arena.
That's what I'm wondering about. And we're not behind the scenes, and I don't know where they get the income streams from. We're assuming it's mostly from Wales, and I get that they're worried about that. But I think there's more opportunity here to keep the community healthy, to make the numbers they want to make, and then to move the game forward into a direction where we do feel enthusiastic about it.
Yeah, I'm also a little worried that they saw maybe whoever is maybe managing CG saw the figures from last year. They had a great year last year, as I'm aware, and maybe they were pushed to produce more gain for this year. If that's the case, I don't really think that you can push for any more gain. I think what they got last year is sort of like the maximum sustainable profit that you're going to be able to pull out of the game. And I hate to talk about the game in terms of profit, but just everything that's been coming out in this past 2 weeks really stinks like that.
Well, for Pete, we're doing more than the average player in this game. We're sitting down and decide every week we want to talk about this game, and we did it because, well, we really love the game. And right now we're sitting here on the off chance that somebody might give a copy of this to CG or to Carrie, and maybe they'll actually listen to us. And listen, they're not going to. This is a huge corporation, and they have their own goals. But
unfortunately,
this normal corporate backward thinking of you always have to progress, you always have to get more quarter after quarter, instead of creating something that is sustainable, that can last.
Yes, that's such a good word.
15 years. Could this game last 10 to 15 years? I believe it could.
It's a great game.
They could supplement the extra income they need to do by new projects. Instead of trying to cripple something, it squeeze most of it out and then to destroy the ability for that forest to renew. It's typical, like cut down the rainforest and develop it, and then the whole planet suffers for it. It's that kind of thinking that it's going to ruin it. And these are people. They have feelings. This isn't a mathematical problem.
Yeah.
And if you not take the feeling part of it into consideration, I mean, I think this is, long story short, without going too far into this, is this. I think there's a healthy way for somebody to quit and an unhealthy way. And the unhealthy way is somebody feel like they've been beaten down by the game and the people who are supposed to be making this enjoyable for them. And the healthy way is I've run my course. I played this a long time. I got a lot of enjoyment, and it's time to move on. And the people who have been quitting this week were in the former. They felt demoralized by the developers. And I think the developers owe us more than that, because we have spent our time on the game. And even the free to people play, they make the game enjoyable, bring a lot of player base into it so that the people who do want to spend money will. And if they don't look at us as their customers, they just look at us as a means to extract money, this is not going to last much longer.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly read some of that news. I took it a little bit bad too. Like I felt like I was a problem. It was a problem that I got Darth Revan and Darth Malak. Like I was at first I was proud because I'm like, oh, I did it. I knew that this was coming. I didn't I didn't put any gear on any unnecessary characters. I stuck to the plan and I got it done this time. This was the first time that I got all the new stuff. And, 1 week later, it's like, oh, we didn't want everybody to do this. This is bad. We need to make some big changes. And then the whole community's upset. And I just can't help but feel guilty. Like, oh, did I cause a problem? Like, am I getting like, are my actions going to cause like everybody to get upset and leave the game? Like that's just not good.
No, it's a huge problem. It's like not only like a certain amount of people weren't supposed to get it, but you weren't supposed to get this tune. And the fact that, so they took something that we were really digging and enjoying and something we wanted to explore on this show, and they said, you're not supposed to have him. So we're going to create this much more difficult roadblock than it would have been originally. And they proceeded to do that. And anything that gets in their way, Jedi Knight, Anakin comes out, hit too hard. They still haven't announced this. But then they come out with some like big, we're going to look into this. And then this cloud hangs over everybody who's playing the game.
Everybody's just really uncertain about what to do. And that it's just a big shadow of negativity going around, because everybody, people were excited that they made Jedi Knight Anakin good because he's supposed to, in Star Wars lore, he's like the chosen one.
The chosen one.
And now they're going to make him, maybe they'll do something where he's not going to be as good. Like that's just kind of, just a big downer.
It makes so much sense to make him good. It worked in all of our imaginations, that the chosen one comes and balances the Force. He's supposed to be balance the Force, and he's doing it, and then they're like, no, he's not supposed to balance the Force because it doesn't allow us to balance our checkbook.
Well, let me get back to talking about like you and I having Darth Revan versus the people who had to pay to get Revan and pay the correct dollar figure. So assume that they do have a community of people who are spending a lot on the game. And we need those people in the game. We need people to be excited and, like enjoy getting all the new stuff and maxing it out as soon as possible. And like if they just take that team that they have and all they have are mirror matches against other peers that have the same gameplay habits as they do, or people who are on the previous generation team, like that actually becomes kind of not so much fun. Like, wouldn't it be okay if, you've got like a Brinkton Scander account who's in there and has Darth Revan, but that Darth Revan is Gear 11 and, the speed mods are just not quite there because he's got to use all his crystals to farm the characters to unlock it and then can't spend any crystals doing slicing or anything. Like, isn't there space in the game for that? Like the kind of like the A- meta team?
And what worries me going forward with the idea of the league version of Grand Arena is how are they going to reconcile these two philosophies, which is, people can pay for an advantage and that's part of the system. Because when you start talking about leagues and competition and something that is a true competitive sport, quote unquote, you shouldn't create these disadvantages. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Everyone wants to go into this feeling like they're on the same level playing field. So they have to decide what this game is going to be. And I think it would be genius for them to take it into a position where it's less about who's paying and more about, the grand notoriety of being the best. I think that is a carrot in and of itself that could work to help stabilize the game and prevent and bring long-term stability to it, instead of the former model, which is just like we have to have people who spend the game because they want the latest shiny new toys.
Yeah, and
but they have to figure out what you're just asking is, where is the place for Brink and Skander?
yeah, and let's be clear, nobody here is talking about like paying to play this game is bad at all. It's fine. Like I go out on a Friday night or a Saturday and have some cocktails with friends, and boom, like that. I could just not do that and instead do that in the game. Like if I had some different life situation, like I was living on my own somewhere, like that might be how I spend my Saturday. There's nothing wrong with paying to play a mobile game. I think though, like I just wanted to reiterate that I think there's a balance that you can have in how much you're expecting to get, and when you try and kind of partition things off too much, it's a turnoff on both ends of the spectrum, both free to play, mostly free to play, dolphin, whale, whatever you want to call it. Especially when it's very obviously engineered that way.
I think that's the impression we're trying to, what we're trying to convey here is that there's a level that they should let some RNG into their equation so that the game can have some sort of organic growth. And the more they try to control it, the more they're going to choke it out. And that's what's happened this week.
I mean, let's look back at last October, when Jedi Revan came out. That was a big cash grab event. They did really well with that, and so many people were so excited that Revan was finally coming to the game that people just did what they had to do to unlock the character, and they got the best team in the game. Unfortunately, it turns out the mirror matches were a bit of a nightmare to play, but you were able to get, like, it had built off the excitement where a couple months prior, Grandmaster Yoda had his lead reworked, and all of a sudden you could make Jedi work in Arena because they got that crit damage up buff to counter and the tenacity up to counter Emperor Palpatine. And then a week later, Bastila comes out, and suddenly they're the meta team. And then there's this little balance, and then Jedi Revan comes to the game. Everybody's excited, and the Jedi are just crazy good. People were all in because it was nothing but like positive things. Everybody was excited about it. Darth Revan comes, and like people knew that it was coming, and people were still very excited about it. But then after we all have him, now there's again just like all these things that we're reading. It's not exciting.
They're supposed to be caretakers of this environment, and it just doesn't seem like they are. And I understand that it's not easy to do this job on their end. There are a lot of variables, but at some point, if you make a mistake, instead of doubling down and trying to fix it, sometimes you can just let it pass, go on to the next thing, fix it, and make sure that that mistake doesn't cost you on two ends, which is, destroying the health of the game. And so they have to make a certain amount of money, but in the end, do they make more money because of this? Well, not if they quicken the end of the game.
Yeah, I just hope that
the more years this goes, the more money it's going to make. And if you lose, I don't know how much, $10 million because of this, but you make an extra month out of the game, it'll even itself out as long as you kind of have some long-term thinking. And Jedi Knight Revan, everyone kind of complained but dealt with it, meaning they understand that this is the way it works. You're going to have a challenge if you're not on top of the meta. But it seemed fair in the sense that there were counters, there were ways to beat it, and it was clearly defined. This is where it is, and this is who you are, and this is who they are, and this is your challenge for the next few months. And it was difficult, and it's almost like they were a product of their own success. That period was fantastic, and everybody realized how difficult it was to beat Jedi Knight Revan. And the reason everybody made sure they were going to get Darth Revan isn't because CJ screwed up and made it easier. It's because they wanted it so badly because that period was so successful.
Yeah.
Because it was so difficult for them. They caused it in the first place.
Yep.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess this is I don't want to drone on and on too much about this, but I guess we wanted everyone out there to realize you're not the only one thinking this. You're not the only ones who care about the long-term health of this game. We do. And, if we could have it every week, maybe we'll have a little therapy segment on here, and we'll talk about the mental health aspects of playing along, a video game and making it part of your life in the long term. But,
Yeah,
we care about this too. And, we want to cover these important topics about our community and not just gameplay.
yeah. And before we move on from this, I like one of the things that I just wanted. Like, I've had a couple IM chats with people about this. I just worry that EA is the one stirring the pot in all of this. It just the CG team has been very responsive to the community and very involved. Regardless of we've had so many events roll out where there's a problem and they need to rework it. They've been on it. They identify the problem and they want to make it right, and they tell us what's going on. It just doesn't strike me that they're acting on their own to like. I don't think it's CG that's making me feel negative about the game right now.
I 100% agree. And I don't think it's them either. I think it's the bigger masters, which we don't get to interact with, that are throwing down mandates. And they're trying to serve two masters, which is the people who own the content and make the money, and the people who generate that content. And they have to try to find a balance, and somebody put them in a very difficult situation.
I agree. I think the CG team is in a tough spot. And honestly, can we move on to some gameplay here, because we're starting to crack this Darth Revan and Malak team that is now dominating Arena, that with the speed meta that we're seeing.
I'd love to move on from this and never talk about it ever again. Hopefully the next few months, the new TV rolls out and everybody relaxes and calms down, and we have a new challenge ahead of us, and we can just get back to enjoying the game, on an everyday basis like we're used to.
Okay, so gameplay. There's a lot of the YouTubers have covered some cool stuff that's going on. I did kind of want to show one video that got some kind of negative feedback, but it was when Jedi Knight Anakin was given his little rework. The first team I saw that had him in there, I went and played, and I was just like, oh, let me just see what's going on, and wasn't really thinking, and got manhandled. So then I went back in, recorded. Oh my goodness. I laughed playing this, and I did. Admittedly,
context matters, and they didn't have a context of what you were trying to do. It doesn't always come across that like I'm just exploring something and not necessarily throwing my all at it. I just want to see how this is, and yeah, you got flamed pretty well, dude.
Oh yeah. You can beat this team by just shutting down Anakin, but I wanted to show people what happens if you let him do his thing, because it's hilarious. So I played this match, so you just kind of give me a load, and I'm running Thrawn here with not my best speed, so I could have put more speed on him to fracture Anakin, but that's not the point.
I think we've been working together long enough and been guildies long enough that I knew what you were getting at. And then when I started seeing the negative comments come in, I was like, oh, they don't even understand it.
Well, first of all, they marked Thrawn, so I can't even use fracture. And then my next best move was to do insanity.
Yeah, you played it. I don't know what people expected you to play better on this. So far, you played it how you have to do it. And at this point, you would think the match is pretty much going to be over. Everybody's on death's door. But
that is
yeah.
The damage output is hysterical. I love it.
It's a knockout shot right away. Now, not everyone's dead, but it kind of puts you back on your heels, and that's enough to allow this team, which this team has always been ridiculous, going to get back on its feet. And the important part is there's nobody you could target right now to really end this. You have to take Jolie out because he'll revive everybody, and what you have left just isn't enough. And this is causing them to reevaluate Jedi Knight Anakin, because they
50.
Look at what he's doing. He just, everybody's familiar with this at this point. The 100K crits. It's just,
I love it.
I think it's terrific. And this is what I meant before about them not embracing an opportunity. So what? You didn't mean to do it. And the whales might complain, but they're going to spend their money anyway. They're not going to quit the game because Jedi Knight Anakin is a good counter. And now you bring these two great forces together in an arena, and it would have been a lot of fun to duke them out. I don't know what they're going to do, but I wouldn't do a huge nerf on him. Maybe just cut the damage in like half.
So here's an interesting thing about his kit. So whenever what is it? When an ally goes below 50% health, he gets a bonus turn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the Darth Revan kit has a thing where you put somebody below 50% health, the leader gets death mark. Like that's a pretty interesting little polar mirror thing.
And you would think that that's what makes me laugh is you would think this is what they have in mind. They obviously thought this through. And so when you come back later and say, well, we thought it through, but we didn't expect this to happen. I mean, it didn't take much or anything special for Jedi Knight Anakin to get these damage numbers.
Well, did you try plugging him into the best Jedi lead?
It was out of the box. And like the big joke running around is like, what, they didn't try him under Jedi Knight Anakin, Jedi Knight Revan team? Like they just thought everyone would see the synergy between Snips, him, and General Kenobi, and they're like, oh no, we can't possibly run him under Jedi Knight Revan. The most obvious thing would be to run him under that team, and then, like you put in one of your videos, he just becomes this world star. So there wasn't much flight of imagination taken to figure out what the best team here was. And it seems like the mechanics were so well planned that it's hard to understand how they missed this and what they were thinking when they brought it together.
Yeah, so I think that they can do something about it's really the bonus turn. So the damage is fun. I don't want them to do anything about the damage. I'd be fine if Anakin gives the Jedi enough legs to, on a really well modded team, have a good shot to take down a Rev and Malak team if you know exactly what you're doing and you figure out the right turn order. I always call it like picking the lock. Like you figure out who to put what debuff on in the right order. But I think like he gets that bonus turn, and Malak has, they kind of amended that unique of his to prevent Sith enemies from gaining turn meter. I feel like there's got to be something that they can do to change the bonus turn to 100% turn meter and have that be like invalidated. Like maybe you can call it something. Well, I mean, is there a difference between Thrawn turn meter swap and a bonus turn?
Yeah, no, they're in the same category, and
okay,
no turn meter is being added to the equation, in the sense that it's not a percentage and it has to be added to the meter. In one case, it's just the meter goes full and the guy goes, and in the next case, they're just literally swapping, and so it's a swap mechanism, not an additive mechanism. It's funny because my stance is like the opposite of what you're saying, which I think is great because we have different opinions on this, but that mechanic about him taking a bonus turn and that cannot be prevented, I think makes this character able to be plugged into a lot of different scenarios and allows us to use it in a creative way, which is my favorite part. So I love that. For me, him giving everybody offense up and crit chance up is more important than the damage, and the ability for him to come in and buff the team at the right time so that they can recover is much more interesting to me than an 100K crit. When I saw these 100K crits, I'm like, oh man, that's going to ruin everything. I don't want that. Even if it was just like a 25 to 30K crit or 40K crit, it wouldn't be the problem that it is today. It's just a little extreme.
Yeah, 100K kit is a near annihilate in most cases.
What we think is happening, we analyzed like the mechanics of this, and we think is happening is that Anakin gives himself offense up and everybody else offense up. We think he's giving that offense up before he takes his AoE damage turn. And so he gets 100% offense, just from taking that turn. And then he's giving himself another 50% up because the offense up is being applied before the turn. And I think all they need to do to fix this is to make the offense up be applied after the turn.
That's a good point.
And once they do that, the numbers will come back to like, something reasonable. And if you can kind of squeak out a win by modding your team well to add offense, and you could really maximize this, I think everybody will feel like it's balanced and it's fair.
That's a
I
good
think
point.
we don't expect a 100K AoE crit on a second turn. If you're going to do something like that, it has to be like start on cooldown.
Yeah.
So that it's coming, like Annihilus Annihilate or HK's super gun, but you have time to deal with it and it's not right away. I think that's all that's broke about it.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. That's a very good point. So we also had who was this? JCW did a zombie lead video for us.
I thought this was really clever.
Yeah.
Very wild.
So this is something that I don't have. So this is against a 302 Fallen Bastila, 325. Okay, so this is against a really good team.
Yeah, it's legit. And that's what makes it so cool. It's the thing that we always try to encourage people to do is think outside the box. Well, a zombie lead, what could be more outside the box than this? So listen, I wasn't a part of the conversations, but let me ask you, the zombie lead is because they target the leader and you're trying to get them to target zombie?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
so Deathmark goes on. Deathmark, so putting zombie in the leader slot will put Deathmark on zombie, who you can just kill all the time and it doesn't matter. And then Anakin, because zombie's going to keep on getting pinged, he's just going to get turns.
It's so clever.
This is really clever. I mean, obviously, this is a climbing only team, but if you've got Gear 12 Night Sisters, this is pretty cool.
So Anakin takes his first turn, but yeah, right there, the first one gets below 50%. He's already taking his second turn,
and he gets that bonus turn through shock, because it's a bonus turn, not turn meter gain.
You see those damage numbers right there? That wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
30K, like that's a normal AoE, for a good team. I don't think that was too bad. You could feel the gears turning in the player's head as you're watching this.
Yeah, he plugged this in and he was learning as he went.
Like you see, like it's not instantly destroying them under the zombie lead. I think it just needs to function more like this under the Jedi Knight Revan team, and everybody's happy.
Yeah.
Because this took a while, but this isn't exactly, it's not like they were just annihilated in 30 seconds. You still need to sit down, think about this, and find a way through.
Yeah, so at any point, if zombie is killed by the AI, or sorry, not zombie, Daka, if the AI kills Daka, it's a really good chance that your run is over here, because then the only revive that you have is through Mother Talzin's mass assist.
It's the Night Sisters are my favorite faction in the game because they have so many different quirky uses, and there's so many little.
They're cool so versatile.
Try to find a way through them, and those teams that blow you away right from the beginning can't just knock them out. You have to deal with the fact that they're going to revive and come back to life. This is is this the first thing I would run? No, but seeing it as a solution, I think is really cool, and I think it's a good illustration of why they should keep the core of Anakin's rework together, because it seems the right approach to give somebody a shot and just kind of tune down the damage so that he can't drop a team within 30 seconds. I mean, to me, that's the only problem. I love these reworks. If anything, it should just be a Galactic Republic lead that allows him to do it, or something that limits who it can be run under, so that their original rework, the idea of bringing Snips, Kenobi, and him together, is the only place that this will work. So you can't use Jedi Knight Revan lead. Even that would solve the problem.
Yeah. So let me just run this one clip. It took me a few battles to capture a battle against. This is the exact same team that the first one I showed was against. It took a few tries to get a match where Thrawn was not fractured. But I finally got one, and I just wanted to show the difference in shutting down Anakin and letting him loose right now, just in case anybody was wondering, like, oh, should I put gear on Jedi Knight Anakin? I mean, if maybe not for Arena, if you're not you don't want to take a gamble on what they're going to do with his kit, But for all other game modes, oh my goodness, he seems like a lot of fun for Territory Wars, Grand Arena, and the upcoming new territory battle.
Yeah, I was going to say people have been asking that question. Should I spend time, within our guild and within the chat servers where I'm should we spend time working on Anakin? I think just analyzing the reworks and the direction the game's taking, he's going to be an integral part of it, regardless of how they nerf or fix this. Whatever they're going to leave, you're going to want him, and you're going to need him to go through the phases of the game that are coming. So I'd gear him up. I think it's important to have anything kind of real time that the developers have their mind on, because it's going to make it that much easier for you and your guild to be successful.
Yeah, so there you see like the if you fracture Anakin, it's over. So he like in this instance, he's bringing a ton to it. It's just so game changing, the bonus turn, and it shows off how much there's a lot of built in healing in the Jedi Revan team to help him get more bonus turns. It's just I think it's really cool how that kit works in the current arena right now.
I agree completely, and I hope that they recognize the coolness of it and don't hurt it too much, because it's if you're trying to restore enthusiasm, like we were talking about in the beginning of the show, one of the ways to do it is bring some cool, fun stuff to play with. These are toys. These are adult toys, and when you bring something new and fun that can kind of let our minds, and our imaginations go wild a little bit, that's what gets us excited back into this game and is going to make us forget the nonsense that's been going on the last 2 weeks.
So the current meta right now is the Sith Empire team. Like full Sith Empire is better than the hybrids, right?
Right.
And like I noticed that when I do plug in, like you've seen in the videos that I've been running Thrawn, just because I don't have a fifth geared up Sith Empire character. And when I do in battles, when I do just throw in, like I have a gear 7 or 8 Marauder or Assassin, I'll throw them in and I notice the difference in damage because you get that crit damage buff. The meta right now is, the full Sith Empire team with Malak. Malak is a handful to deal with, and then you've got to have better speed. So I thought that you had a really keen play this week in dealing with a team that had like a faster Bastila.
I would, yeah. So I had started out with Thrawn too, before I had a full Sith Empire and before I plugged in Sith Assassin. But then they nerfed Sith Assassin, and I liked that mechanic better than the others. So I was left with Thrawn, and when Malak came in, the damage is so high, it sort of raised the stakes. There's this high DPS problem, which is you're not going to stick around long enough to recover if you're going second. And to me, there's a lot of simple solutions in this game that span periods. If you remember the Emperor Palpatine meta, one of the direct counters to that is just tenacity up. It stops a debuff heavy dark side team from gaining speed. And in this case, even though fear is not resistible from Revan, it is resistible, and corrupted battle meditation is resistible from other places. So I thought, Yoda's fast. He has foresight and tenacity up. Let's just plug him in the beginning and see how it works.
Yeah, let me roll it. Yeah, so this was I think the first one that you recorded and sent me. And you have a faster Darth Revan, but I think your opponent had, I didn't see what the turn order was, but regardless, that tenacity up just stopped you from getting corrupted battle meditation.
Yeah, that's the purpose, is that you cannot use fear or corrupted battle meditation on your own if you have fear. So, if you have corrupted battle meditation. So it's just a pretty simple solution. And it's not like you just blow them away on the other side, but it gives you a fighting chance to get into the later part of the battle.
Yeah.
The funny thing is all the comments are saying, like, I don't see what Yoda does. And it's because he does like one quick thing, and that's pretty much all he's doing.
That's all you need. You just need that one little window to apply like a few debuffs. Like Bastila hitting somebody with shock versus not if they don't have shock It's huge.
That's one of my favorite moves in the game right now, and I have her tuned up. So, in addition to making Yoda fast, my suggestion for modding is you need to drop the other team and you need to do it as fast as possible. With everybody getting tenacity up, the speed war between Bastila, Revan, and the enemy Bastila and Revan is sort of irrelevant at that point. And I would mod everybody for max DPS. You're going to get through that first turn and you're going to be able to find even footing. And from there, the team that hits the hardest is one that usually wins. You just have to drop everybody else. My Bastila has a crit damage set. And my Revan right now is fast, but I've experimented with crit damage sets, and my HK-47 has max offense, match crit damage set. And so when I get into these battles, when I need a kill blow, if you have to wait and get a second one, you might not always get it. You have to drop them on that turn. So DPS and a fast GMY, and you're going to have yourself a chance of doing this.
So let me roll this. It was shortly after you sent me that video. You auto battled somebody.
I always like to try an auto just to see kind of
how well it really. That's always your test. If does a team really work? Let me go into a match, hit auto, and deselect the targeting.
Even if you lose, I feel like it's a fair way to do it and to take the sort of human element out of it. Let's see how well this holds up. When all things are even.
Yeah, I mean it's so like this is so close, but it's an auto battle for one, and two, it's just like the Darth Revan teams are by design supposed to be quick, high damage matches, so it's not uncharacteristic how many deaths are happening, but I think it's just incredible that you can auto with one character who all he's doing is putting tenacity up.
Well, what you really want to identify when you're trying to develop a counter, just from a theory standpoint, is kind of what is preventing me from winning. And if you can boil it down to something as simple as corrupted battle meditation, then the answer is, how can I stop that from happening? And the auto there shows not that putting Yoda in the team is making it like a world beater that no one can handle. It's that it's putting it back on an even playing field. And when I put any other character in there and hit auto, I get destroyed.
Yeah.
So, one day this meta is going to end, and they're going to use a mechanic to do that. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's a tenacity up mechanic.
So we just showed your battles where you have better speed than I do. So I hate to say it, but I'm becoming the litmus test for if something works if you don't have speed advantage. So right here, I'm going to highlight on the video the speeds. The opponent has a 318 in this video I'm about to play. The opponent has a 318 speed Darth Revan, mine is 281. Their Bastila is 295, mine is 286. They've got Malak at 270. Their HK is 221, mine is 220. Their Sith Trooper's 209, mine is 183. But I put my best speed on Grandmaster Yoda, so he's at 320. So he's going to go first in this match. And it actually, he can actually go behind the opponent's Darth Revan. I've tested that out. You running this team, you have Sith Trooper, so Sith Trooper and Darth Revan will get that first insanity that the AI is always going to do. And really, the gadget that Yoda brings is stopping corrupted battle meditation primarily.
Yeah, that's what it is. And I loved your reaction when you tried this for the first time. You're like, oh my God, it works. And because it seems too simple on the surface to be the counter, but there are very few tunes that are fast that can apply AoE tenacity up. And just this one, does the trick.
Yeah. And I was totally unsure of how, I was sending you messages like, hey, what do you need to do anything to run it? Like, what do you do? And you're just like, okay, well, make sure you need high DPS because you get that little advantage of not having corrupted battle meditation, and you have to do damage then because once the other team, if they're faster, they're going to catch up and put corrupted battle meditation on you on the second or third cycle. You have to get people down quick.
It makes the difference. It's you have again. It's identifying what is going on in the match, and in this case, who hits the hardest is always going to be a big determining factor in these mirror matches. And you know, just preventing corrupted battle meditation. Again, it does none of this stuff has to be. It seems more complicated than it really is if you boil down, you know, what the developers had in mind and how they're creating the advantage for one faction.
Yeah, and I I really like this counter. I mean, it's you're sacrificing an important slot on this team for a very important mechanic of blocking that initial corrupted battle meditation. And Grandmaster Yoda is a very fast. He's naturally very fast, and aside from that, many players are gonna have him at gear 12. If not, they've put the gear 12 plus pieces on him. I know I did.
These are practical matters. It's of course it's a matter of you're right, what you have at hand. Those are the things I try. And you know, and if it was based on like a gear 12 nuke gunray, I don't think I would even try to publish something like this, because I don't, you know, it's a quick thing and who knows when it's going to last. But everybody has this, and everybody's been working on their Yodas for a long time because of all the metas. And so it's there, it's at hand, it could help a lot of people. And, you know, on defense, it's holding. I've had people message me that it's, you know, even with Malak, that this is a hard team to beat because it shuts down some of their mechanics. And maybe their Malak teams aren't tuned up as much as they should be. And my DPS is so high that I catch them off guard.
Yeah,
you know,
we'll have to we'll have to keep playing with this as we see more people getting their Malak up to 7 stars. I think we've only got one to test with, and I think I only see that team at certain times of the day due to the climbing rotation. But I'm interested to see how you hold up against a 7-star Darth Malak, and you know, we'll have to see how the ideal mod loadout is for a 7-star Malak team. But for the time being, this is solving my problem in climbing. Like, I was having a really difficult time climbing using Thrawn as the 5th.
I'm surprised how few alternatives there are after they went ahead and did all this to everybody. And I've always thought the developers are clever in making and leaving at least one very easily identifiable counter to stop, to make sure that arena movement just doesn't crawl to a halt. And in this case, because of the kind of wacky way this is developed, they don't think they left enough. And thank God this one thing is left, but this is not what I would consider like a healthy counter. All of a sudden having to develop this team and plug Yoda in, to me, it's more like a trick or a gimmick. And it comes down to them nerfing Sith Assassin. Out of everything that's happened, I'm indifferent. I like challenges. I don't mind if they make the game more challenging, but that's the one thing out of all of this that just felt wrong. And I know they're giving us back our gear, but they should have carved out an exception for Sith Assassin so that people could use this DR meta as it was intended to be used without Malak. They should have rewarded everyone who did take the time to do this, to get Darth Revan, and allowed a clear way for them to win these matches. And I think everybody would have been okay with that, and they didn't. And now we're stuck using Yoda, and I'm okay. Listen, I can climb, and I'm happy about that, but I feel like they should have left something better.
Yeah, although we're still really early into everything. You know, I think people, I've seen people say that they've been able to climb still using Jedi Revan teams, although those are probably peak gear, peak modded teams. I don't run that, so I can't speak to how well that actually works. See that.
Neither of us were really on the Jedi Knight Revan train, so we're not really experts on it. So when we go to things we know the best. So, you know, if anybody wants to submit, video to us, we'd love to cover it. You can join us on the Robot Wizard. Look for a link to the Discord server in the description of this. Subscribe to the page too, guys. And, you know, we're happy to take content from the community and put it out there and show your work, which is, you know, the whole point of this podcast and the whole point of our community.
Yeah, we're here kind of giving a roundup of all the chat and discussion that's been going on the Discord server, and kind of, you know, giving a weekly roundup. And
wait, Brink, can I tell you something right now? Mm-hmm. My Discord is blowing up. Speaking of Discord, and your teammates are urging you to join.
I just joined.
Okay, good.
I just joined. I saw that chat. I got in. I joined.
Okay.
I thought I had joined. I guess I didn't push. So let me just break over to my game, and I just like I still this will be my second day running the Yoda counter, and wanted to let me just do this live. Go through the mods, of course. 296 DR, which is faster than mine because I don't have speed advantage over anybody. It seems.
Well, you know what? It's good in a lot of ways. It's good because it's easy to wimp out and say I'm going to make my team faster, but for the masses, you're doing a service.
Yeah, and I do like like I don't have a slow team by any means, but if you're slower, you're slow. Like that's kind of it. You're on the defensive.
No, your count is well balanced and one of the better ones I've seen.
I've got good stuff.
But you're a champion of the people, Rick.
Yep.
And I don't want you to discount that. The people come in and listen to this podcast and they're like, what is our champion up to this week? And that's what you're showing them. Right?
Yeah. Again, I'm going to point this out. I do have a fast Yoda. I have all the Gear 12 Plus pieces on him, and this is my best speed set. So, as long this, in theory, it should work as long as your Yoda can outpace their Bastila. And
it should in most cases. Yoda's so much faster on base speed, it shouldn't be that much of an issue for most people.
Most people should be able to do it. You're right. And again, most the standard teams are putting their best speed on Darth Revan and second best speed on Bastila. So they're that's another reason why this should be a feasible counter team for a lot of people to run. If you're having trouble, you're just stonewalled by the speed meta. Okay, let's go.
When we're thinking about this, we're thinking about the practicality of what we're putting out, where like we don't want these weird nits things that not going to work for most people.
Okay,
so you're gonna go first here, and you're gonna shut down their mechanisms right away.
Okay, so resisted all that. Now, what should I do? Lightning or fear?
Fear. You always put fear on. You can knock two guys out. It's hard.
Now I've been doing Force Storm here to help me.
No, do fear because the leader's gonna get fear. You don't have corrupted battle meditation.
Yeah, but I get speed from Force Storm.
Okay, I'm just telling you how I do it. You could be everybody.
I'm doing Force Storm, Myth.
Force Storm.
I'm doing Force Storm.
Well, I mean, it knocked off the taunt there, so you can go after him the next way, and this should be a killer hit here.
Yeah, so I'm saving AoE. I'm gonna do basic.
Okay.
This is okay. So 30k. I'm gonna do. I think I want to do basic or AoE.
I always use the AoEs. I know there's
AoE
out there not to use them, but I feel like offense down is amazing and something that's worthwhile.
Okay, so I resisted fear. I've got. Okay, so can I hit anybody with? No, I can't. I like to save lightning for somebody with. Let me do basic. I'm not sure if this. Okay, I got him out. All right, I can do insanity on the leader.
Yeah, I mean that and you're gonna knock him out here. I mean, so it's
boom,
and that's basically it. That's the match, and so you can see how just delaying their ability to do these things to you. You never really got corrupted battle meditation because
I didn't.
You pretty much shut down their engine.
Yeah, this is amazing. And so I'm saving HK's AoE because if you do get Deathmark out and there's a taunt, it gives you a way to hit the leader with who has Deathmark. Or well, actually, no, that's not right. You can.
No, it is because you can get multiple hits on Deathmark.
That's right.
Absolutely no. You're putting out a great point there. Saving that AoE isn't a bad point because there's a lot of times you can get that Deathmark, but you only get it for the one hit, and then Revan, because he's going so fast, takes a turn and gets and sheds it. So if you can drop him, once you drop him, a lot of the match mechanics drop off and it becomes a lot easier. It was a 5-star Malak, but you were able to drop Malak first, which I don't want to overlook. Malak is incredibly difficult to kill.
Yeah.
And so this team's ability to even drop Malak shows that once you just give it a little window, a little tenacity up so it can get its footing, it performs well. And this should be a good everyday counter for everyone. And until something changes in the arena, I don't foresee anything else being better than this. This is what I think the second best team in the game is right now when it comes to just straight PvP arena. We wouldn't run this in TW, but we might have to. You know, TW strategy is going to change now that Malak is sort of this unbeatable team. And for all you guilds out there, you might want to be reserving your Yodas and putting them on DRs to make sure you can drop all these teams when you get these matchups.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, so we'll have to do we'll look to do a separate video to kind of go over the mod strategy to get this team to work properly. You know, really it's just super fast Yoda and solid DPS on everybody. But it might be helpful to just have like a condensed video for folks to look at.
I think it's a great idea and something that we'll try to take the things we feature. This podcast is, you know, for entertainment. We're trying to have a conversation and let you join on in, but kind of having a breakout from the most important topics, I think is a great thing that we're going to do. And we're always trying to improve. This is new for us, and we hope that you are enjoying it. Please subscribe to our channel, because if you subscribe, we're going to get that much more energy to come back and do this another week and try to build this show into something that becomes, you know, a staple for the people who love this game.
Yeah, and again, please subscribe and join our Discord server. We're always looking for new minds to join the conversation. There's so many small tweaks that you can do to improve gameplay, and you know, a new perspective or somebody who brings some new experiences can always help the group get better and improve.
You know, this really is the people's show. That server really is the people's server. It's not like we're the main stars in and then everybody else comes in to enjoy our stardom. We're a community. We chat. Everybody's voice is important as the next. And a lot of the things you're seeing in the conversations we're having is organically driven from, you know, the group and community of amazing people on that Discord server. And we're just coming here kind of giving voice to that. And we want to thank everybody over there, because there's a great ongoing chat every day and something that we find very enjoyable, especially through these dark times in the game.
Well, on that note, this has been a good chat, Myth. I will catch up with you later this week.
Have a great week, Brink, and we'll do it again next Monday.
All right. Take care, YouTube.
Bye-bye.